Hello and welcome. My name is Astra Fox, and I am excited to share this presentation with you today to introduce you to neuro-linguistic programming and mental and emotional release. So you can experience the power of your subconscious mind and experience more freedom in your life. I want to begin by introducing you to myself and a bit about me. I began my transformation at the age of 20. I experienced a personal tragedy in my life when my husband died suddenly. And the day he died, I made the choice to heal from the loss and make my life positive and to live my life to the fullest. As a musician, I used songwriting as a way to process my grief and my pain. After years of self healing using my songwriting and spiritual tools, I started to channel my transformation into my songs, and I began writing and performing positive folk music. My new style of music carried themes of joy, life purpose, empowerment, manifestation, and transformation. This new writing style and mission to uplift the world with my music led me to becoming a life coach in 2018. I got my spiritual coach certification in 2020, and I received my associate coach certificate, my ACC, from the International Coaching Federation, the ICF, in 2021. I'm continuing to grow my coaching toolkit in a variety of modalities, including creating custom musical mantras for my clients. I use creative and spiritual processes, and now hypnosis, mental and emotional release, and neurolinguistic programming, which you're going to be learning about here today. I now blend the gift of my music with my passion for personal and spiritual growth as a life coach, and I help my clients release their emotional baggage so they can get unstuck and share their gifts and live their joyful purpose. So let's dive right in so you can learn about the power of your subconscious mind using neurolinguistic programming and mental and emotional release. So, what is neurolinguistic programming? What is NLP? I describe it as the language of the mind. And so it's a way of assessing the filters in which we view the world that our subconscious programming has been installed in us since birth or before. What does NLP do? So, NLP models excellence and uses the power of the subconscious mind to understand and rewrite patterns that don't serve our goals or higher purpose. So, it's interesting because NLP, it's like the concept that we have this subconscious mind and we have this filter in which we process information coming through. And it's also tools that use the understanding of how the subconscious mind works in order to model excellence and rewrite those patterns. And mental and emotional release. You might have heard this previously known as timeline therapy. Mental and emotional release utilizes a person's internal timeline to work with their subconscious mind to heal and release unwanted thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and any patterns or strategies that are not serving the goals of the person. So, I want you to understand the power of your subconscious mind. So, at any given second, your subconscious mind is taking in 2 million bits of information per second. Per second, 2 million bits of information. That's a lot of information that you're absorbing every second. Your conscious mind can only focus on 126 bits per second. And so, how your brain decides what it's going to focus on and what it's not going to focus on and just allow to be in the subconscious, it has to distill it down to that 126 bits. And the way that it decides that is through the patterns in your subconscious. So, these are your beliefs, your attitudes, your programming of the world around you, how you were raised, what was modeled for you is the subconscious programming that you carry out and tells you what to focus on for that 126. So I want you to try this. I want you to stick your thumb out and I want you to make a thumbs up and I want you to focus on your thumbnail and just focus on the part of your thumbnail right now. And so as you look at your thumbnail, I want you to notice and know that this is the area of your thumbnail at the distance that about your eye can focus on with its focal vision, that is the equivalent of like the 126 bits that you can focus on in any given second with your conscious mind. Now, notice as you're focusing on your thumbnail, notice in your peripheral vision the room around you. This is like equal to the 2 million bits per second that your subconscious mind takes in. So your conscious mind can really just focus on a very small area at a time. Your subconscious mind is taking in everything. And what you choose to focus on depends on previous programming and previous experiences. Okay. I love this saying. I learned this in my first NLP training, and it's the conscious mind is the goal setter. The subconscious mind is the goal getter. So your subconscious mind drives 90%, at least 90% of our thoughts, beliefs, habits, and behaviors. So this means that if you have a goal that you're not reaching, there may be a subconscious part of you that is not aligned with your conscious mind's goal, and it's creating self-sabotage. So NLP tools rewire the subconscious patterns so you can get out of your own way and reach your fullest potential. So I have a client who I did some of this work with, and we found this belief living in her subconscious that was it's not safe for things to be easy. And so with this belief operating on a subconscious level in her life, she was making things harder than they had to be. And once we released this belief using mental and emotional release, she found more simple solutions in her life, relationship, and business. So just know that all change happens in the subconscious mind, and you have the power to change it in an instant. In order to make permanent positive change in your life, 4 things must happen. The first thing that needs to happen for permanent change is releasing of emotional baggage. This is releasing on a subconscious level those programs that aren't serving you, the limiting beliefs, the negative emotions, any parts that are in conflict, any strategies or patterns that aren't serving you. Those must be released first before you can create new healthy habits that will stick. Once the emotional baggage is released, then you must create a compelling future. You must have a direction to point your subconscious so you can create new healthy habits. Step number 3 in creating permanent change is taking action. You can't just release the baggage. You can't just set a goal. You have to take action on it. That is what's going to create new positive habits in your subconscious, new positive programs in your subconscious mind. And then maintaining a positive focus is number 4. Maintaining a positive focus is not beating yourself up when you maybe slip on your new goals. It's not thinking, throwing away all of the progress that you've made because you missed one day of your new healthy habit. So these 4 things need to be present in order for permanent change to happen. And these are the 4 things that I support my clients with in my coaching. Okay, so let's talk about baggage. So I want you to think of your view of the world as a window. And so you can see in this image here, you've got this beautiful image, this beautiful, clear, clean window that you're looking out at the world through. And so this is how you come into the world. It's all clear, it's clean, there's no baggage in sight. And then, say you're about 1 or 2 and you experience your first quote negative emotion. So you experience sadness. Then all of a sudden your subconscious mind has an association of sadness on your timeline. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. And so that becomes a filter that goes on your window. And then you experience anger. That also becomes a filter that's on your window. And so when we use mental and emotional release and neurolinguistic programming to release subconscious baggage, you get a clear new window to see the world through. And so, a key thing to understand is that the subconscious mind loves repetition and it replays patterns based on past experiences. So, it's replaying the patterns based on your emotional baggage without your awareness of it or your ability to change it. So, the question is, do you want to be running on default patterns or intentional patterns? Understanding the subconscious mind and using tools like NLP and MER, as you're going to experience here tonight, are going to allow you to take control of what patterns are programmed in your subconscious mind that will influence the results that you get in your life. I had another client who had this limiting belief in her subconscious: I am unwanted. This was creating self sabotage in her success as an artist. She had inappropriate and unwarranted bouts of anger and jealousy. And once we release these subconscious programs, she has now more control over her emotions and doesn't have irrational responses to normal situations. So as you let go of your emotional baggage, you move away from viewing your world through limitation and you begin to see the world of possibility. One example I like to give of this is when you hear people talk about, like, what is your purpose? What are you meant to be when you grow up? A common question is to ask, what did you want to be as a child? And I believe we ask this question because when you're a child, you don't have as much emotional baggage viewing your model of the world. And so it's a much purer answer. When we were children, we wanted to be artists, singers, astronauts. We had these visions for ourselves and we believed in ourselves before the world told us that we couldn't and limited us, before we had experiences that created limiting beliefs like it has to be hard or I'm not worthy or good enough to succeed at my dream. And so as you release this emotional baggage, you'll find that the possibilities for yourself in your life really open up because you're not limited by that baggage anymore. Okay, so I want to talk about your timeline and what's called the Gestalt. So the Gestalt is basically from the first event and how that first event links up to future events, and they create this collection of association in your subconscious mind. And so that any negative emotion, any limiting decision has a root cause. And so the first event, as you'll see pictured here, is either imprinted from a very young age, 0 to 7, or even a past life or passed down to you genealogically. It's amazing how many of my clients tell me that their emotional baggage is not theirs after they have gone through mental and emotional release and they've experienced going back in their subconscious on their timeline to a genealogical line and realizing that they were carrying the shame of their grandmother. They were carrying the guilt of their mother. It's really powerful. And this work is proven to clear genealogical patterns. And so the first event is the root cause. Say we're talking about anger. And so the first time you experienced anger, your subconscious mind was like, oh, this is anger. We link our emotions based on labels. Labels, words, the way you label things is really important for your subconscious mind. So anger has been labeled in your subconscious, say at age 2, and it knows, oh, this is what anger is. Any other experience that was anger, your subconscious has linked back to that first event. And so it's going to be really important to be able to assess what the first event is. And you can really, it's quite easy. You just ask your subconscious and listen for the first answer and trust your subconscious knows exactly how to respond. If you're thinking too long about the answer, then it's a good indication that you're thinking with your left brain and it's more of a logical response and not a subconscious response. So what's fascinating is that once we go back and we release this first event, it is like a domino effect on the subsequent events after that. Because once the root cause, just like pulling out the root of a plant in your garden, the flowers, the rest of the plant can't survive. And so you end up releasing the emotional baggage for your whole timeline once you release the root cause. So beautiful. We are going to have an experience of your timeline now. So, this is what's called an elicitation of your timeline. Your timeline is how your subconscious mind organizes time. However, you experience your timeline is correct. Everyone experiences it differently. And so, the most important thing here is to trust and just trust and know that how you're experiencing it is correct. And just notice what you notice. Some people experience their timeline visually. I myself am more kinesthetic, so I'm not necessarily seeing things very clearly when I close my eyes. I'm more sensing them and have a knowing. It could be auditory. It could even be gustatory. You could taste your timeline. However you experience it is absolutely correct for you. So in a moment here, I'm going to have you close your eyes. I'm going to talk you through how to experience your timeline. And I want you to just trust whatever your subconscious mind is offering you. So go ahead and find yourself in a comfortable position. And I invite you to close your eyes. I invite you to take a deep breath in through your nose. Let it out through your mouth with a sigh. Take another deep breath in. Let it out. If I were to ask your subconscious mind, where is your past and where is your future? I have an idea that you might say it's from right to left, or from back to front, or up to down, or in some direction from you in relation to your body. And it's not your conscious concept that I'm interested in, it's your subconscious. So if I were to ask your subconscious mind, where is your past? To what direction would you point? Point there now. And your future? What direction would you point if I asked your subconscious mind, where is your future? However you organize your timeline is perfect for you. If you happen to have 2 or more timelines, ask your subconscious mind, which of these timelines would be the best to use to cause the most pervasive and long-lasting change to occur. Now ask your subconscious mind, can you remember something that happened 1 week ago? Good. As you do, can you notice where it comes from? Can you remember something that happened 1 month ago? A year ago? Notice which direction it comes from. Now, can you think of something that will happen 1 week from now? Notice, where does it go? 1 month from now? 1 year from now? Now, do you notice the arrangement implies a line or some arrangement of your memories? Excellent. Now we are going to play a game with your subconscious mind Tell your subconscious mind that this game can be played visually, auditorily, or kinesthetically. Any way that your subconscious mind wants to play this game is the correct way. Now, would you bring to mind the directions that you pointed to, or the memories of the past and the future that you noticed? Do you notice that they imply a line? Could you notice that they imply a line? How would it look if, for the purpose of this process, it were stretched out in a line? Good. Now, when I say a line, I don't mean to imply only visual, because in a moment I'm going to ask you to float above that line. And by float, I also mean as it sounds, floating on the wind, or floating in a bathtub, or just visually. However you float above your timeline is perfect. So can you just float above your timeline now? Make sure you are looking through your own eyes, floating above your timeline. Now, remaining above your timeline, just float back into the past. Are you there? Excellent. Now float back towards now and stop there. Are you there? Good. Now facing towards the future, float up higher and farther back into the past. And now float out into your future. Now float up higher. Float so high that your timeline seems like it is only 1 inch long. Good. Now float back to now and float down into now and come back into the room. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. I trust you had a wonderful experience with your timeline. I hope you enjoyed this presentation and learned a little bit more about the power of your subconscious mind and how NLP and mental and emotional release can support you in releasing that which is no longer serving you. My name is Astra Fox. You can reach me at joyfulpurposecoaching.com. Looking forward to connecting more with you and supporting you in living your joyful purpose.